Hey guys, welcome back to SIP. I'm Mac. We're sadly missing Carmen today because she's sick and home dying in her bed, so she's not here with us today, unfortunately. But we do have two very special guests that we've known for a really long time, and so we're excited to have them back, or one of them back on.
Yes, I'm excited to
And
be
so
back.
we're going to talk about all the stories that we have together, how they got involved here, and just all that fun stuff. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves, go ahead.
Want to go first?
Sure. Well, thanks for allowing me to be here today and kind of share my student impact experience. My name's Carrie Kaysen, and I am mother of John Kaysen, who has been a frequent flyer here at Student Impact for many years. Professionally, I own my own communications firm here in Westfield, and I've done communication for about 25 years. I am an adjunct professor at Butler University, and my husband and I, we live in Westfield. We've had for 20 years, and just happy to be here.
Yeah, that was a good intro. So I'm
A
John
plus.
Kaysen. That's my mom, obviously. This is my 7th year at Student Impact, which is
crazy.
a very long time. I'm a junior over at Westfield High School right now, so I come here after school. Other things I'm involved in, I do events for student government. I do DECA, which is like a business competition club. HOSA, which is about the medical field, which I'm interested in pursuing after high school. Think about any other things. Dance marathon I'm in. So I'm involved in a lot of clubs. Clubs are obviously my thing. I come here after school. I'm a student leader. And last trimester I was the intern here. So I just liked hanging out here and talking to everybody.
Basically, if you're doing something at the high school, John probably is part of it.
Yeah, probably. I like to insert myself into a lot of different activities.
He gets FOMO.
I do.
Has
He
to
definitely
be
gets FOMO,
involved.
but he doesn't have enough time to help with the house chores, unfortunately.
Right. Of
course
He's
not.
too busy.
Right. I've inserted too many things.
You cleaned a toilet though before,
I
right?
have. They taught me how to clean a toilet
Yeah.
here. Mm-hmm.
That's the only task you really need.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be
That-
good to
that's
go.
the life ready skill I
Yeah,
learned
you're
while I've been
ready.
here.
That's right. You're ready for life, my friend.
For sure.
Okay, well, we'll do our question of the day today.
Okay.
Exciting.
So, today's question is,
Oh no.
what is the biggest pet peeve you get from the person sitting next to you?
Oh, this is
That's a
one.
good
Oh
one
my
for
gosh.
you too.
Oh.
How much time do we
I
have?
As
one.
long as you want. yeah.
I'll start. When I think this is just something with your generation. It's not pointed just to you, but when I think you could probably relate to this too. Like when you're talking to your mom and she's on her phone and she doesn't respond to you. Like she's scrolling on Instagram and I'm like, Mom, a long story, like whatever. I'm asking her a question. It's like a whole 2 minutes I'm talking to her and she's been on her phone and didn't hear a single thing I said.
I can say I'm guilty of that. Like,
Oh, yeah.
my brother got mad at me earlier today because I was texting and couldn't multitask.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's my probably biggest
that's
pet peeve.
fair. I think, oftentimes he'll say, Mom, I'm doing this tonight. And I'm like, what? I didn't know you were doing that. And it's like, Mom, we talked about
You're like,
this.
Mhm.
And
We talked about it.
I was probably on my
Got me
phone or
there.
Yeah.
working or
Yeah.
something like, I hear you. So that's fair. I'll give you that. But,
Good one.
That's probably it.
So my pet peeve is actually a pet peeve, but it's actually one of your greatest qualities.
Oh, okay.
So it can kind of go both ways, and I think that you'll probably agree.
Okay.
You are the most curious person I have ever met in my life, which is a really good attribute to have in life.
Sometimes.
However, when I'm in the middle of something or I'm driving or, trying to organize my thoughts in some way, you're often asking a lot of questions. And you've been
Yep.
like that since you were a baby. He would, why,
I was about to say, was he
You
the
should
why
hear my
kid?
teachers.
And his teachers would say the same thing.
So
They would
funny,
do
John.
that.
So
Me too.
it's both a blessing and a curse for me, but I love you just the same.
It's the timing sometimes I think annoys
It's the
you.
timing, yes.
At least you're aware of it.
I'm curious. What can I say?
He's very curious.
That's a good thing. I love that.
Yes.
Okay, well, I want to hear from the very beginning because you guys have been here for a long time,
Yeah.
the both of you. So
Ages.
as long as John basically was raised here.
He was. Yeah.
So I want to hear how you got involved, how you started in Westfield, and then what kind of led you to Student Impact, and then we'll just keep going. From
Okay. Well, my husband and I moved here in 2004, right before we got married. And I moved from Chicago and I was in the communications for the city of Chicago. And so when I moved here, it was a little bit different from Chicago, but I kind of wandered up to City Hall because I'm very involved. I love government. I love politics. And I wandered up to the town hall and talked to the then town manager, Jerry Rosenberger. And we got to chatting and he said he didn't have anything in communications for me for a job, but they had a part-time enforcement position, which is like the enforcement person goes around and fines people, tickets people for having like overgrown lawns and
Ooh,
stuff that I
awkward.
did not.
Really
yeah,
fun,
yeah.
yeah.
So I didn't have a job, so I was like, sure, I'll do it. So I worked part-time for the city of Westfield, and I was there for a few months, doing enforcement, which I did a terrible job. You can ask anybody. But then they found some money and hired me on as a full-time communication person, and kind of that's when I got started in Westfield. That's when I got to know the city and everyone in Westfield. Jump ahead to John was in 4th grade, and I was starting to get a little bit more involved in school activities, and I met Danielle Easterhouse, who obviously has been a big part of Student Impact for many years. And she asked me if I'd be interested in serving on the board, and I of course said yes, and that's how I got to be involved in Student Impact. And then John was in 5th grade, and I was on the board, and I knew all about Student Impact and all the wonderful things that you guys do. And so I said, hey John, after school you're heading over to Student Impact. And he really wasn't sure what it was, but he went and fell in love with it just like I did. So that's kind of the beginning of it all.
Cool.
Yeah.
How long were you on the board for?
I think I was on the board for 6 years.
Okay. And what positions on the board did you hold?
Oh, I was just a regular old board member at the time, but I served I think I was treasurer once, which is funny because budgeting is not my forte. But and I was president for a year, which was exciting and fun, and we did a lot. But yeah, so I've kind of served in all kind of aspects here.
Fun. You know the whole
Yeah.
shebang.
I do. I know the ins and outs, and the most exciting part for me was actually seeing the building being built. I mean, there were so many kids crammed in here for so many years, and not that it was a bad place to be. It just wasn't as big and roomy and nice as it is right now. And I know that it's always been the goal that you guys had to expand, and getting to see the opportunity for you guys to actually make that happen was just a huge blessing for me. Yeah. So I love this place, and even getting to come back here today, I just see how amazing and growth and expansion that you guys have done over the years. It's just kudos to all of you.
Yeah. It's so fun, especially
fun.
like when you know what the building used to like. Again,
Right.
not that it was bad, but like
Right.
now we get to show it off and be proud of the space we have, and like have all
Absolutely.
these new kids be like, "Wow,
Right.
this is so cool," and we're like,
Right.
"Yeah, it is.
It is
we
really
love
cool.
it."
I mean, if you would have told me all those years ago when I first sat on the board that this was going to be where we were sitting, I mean, it was unimaginable at the time, because we didn't have a whole lot of donors. We were a lot smaller, and we just, with great leadership, people like you and your staff, and have really made this what it is. So it's amazing to see.
We're currently sitting in was it a conference room at one point?
It was
Yes, it was the art
Art
room.
room.
Art room. Yes.
Yeah. This room's had a lot of
Didn't
different.
you almost like ruin the whiteboard?
Yep, me and Soph, when we were at the board meeting with my mom and Danielle, we were in here. We would come to all of the board meetings
Oh,
and just
yeah.
walk around the house. Obviously, we wrote Sharpie on one of the whiteboards in here. It's great. I don't know how it came off, but it did. And then in
Magic
previous
eraser.
years, I didn't want to ride the bus to school, so I would come to the board meeting at about 6:30, maybe. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, our board meetings were at 7 a.m. and
You'd rather come at 7 a.m. than
anything
ride the
to
bus.
avoid the bus. I didn't get it.
And I would do my driver's ed. It was very efficient.
Oh, so that was like somewhat recent. I forgot you did that until you could drive.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Okay, well, you talk about your experience, your first introduction to Student Impact, before you were a student here, maybe all of those fun experiences.
Yeah, so I kind of like lived vicariously through my mom for a little bit. So they were starting, I bet it was a board activity. They were thinking of starting a camp, a summer camp, but it wasn't like a big event. So this was when I was going into 5th grade. So this would have been 2018, I think, the summer of 2018. And
right.
they were talking about forming a camp, and my mom, along with some of her friends and their kids, had gotten together, and they had sent all of us. So I went with me. It was Gabe Willis was there, Locke, and a few other kids. So obviously. So we all came to camp, and that was my first introduction to Student Impact. That was my first time I was ever in here. And that was honestly like, that's one of my best memories here. Like when we had Terry from the rail,
yeah.
not Terry, what's his
Toby.
name? Toby from the rail. He came and did the chef thing.
Cooking class.
Yeah, the
That was
cooking
so
class.
fun.
We had, I'm trying to think, we had like this Celestia Messina.
Yeah,
I can't remember
and
her
the
name.
animals.
The animals,
The
the
animals were-
snakes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
and-
That wasn't that year.
Are
Oh,
you sure? Because there's a really little baby picture of Gabe with
I feel
a
like that was the
student.
second year.
Maybe. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know. The first year was it was really fun. It was like I met new people going into 5th grade. So that was my first experience with Student Impact. And then at the time I started 5th grade and student impact was in the gym. So every Wednesday after school, I would walk to the gym in the intermediate school and we would play games. We'd walk to the cafeteria. I was with you constantly, I think.
We were a
You
duo.
and Danielle. Yeah. I walked around with them a lot and Sam. So I was introduced that way. And then during COVID, I did that all the way in through about 3/4 of the way through 6th grade. And then once COVID hit, obviously we didn't have student impact, but I do remember, and I think you would know a lot about this too, when we did our Zooms.
Oh.
So they sent like little bags around the city. I remember it was a pizza one that we did.
Yeah,
I
we
can
did
remember
like end of the year pizza.
so they dropped little bags off on our porch full of like mozzarella sauce and cheese and like little, I don't know, was it just stuff to make dough?
Yeah,
Something
and then
like
there was
that.
like a
Homemade
pizza
pizzas.
cookie
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah, it was funny. So we would do that on Zooms. That was our COVID
Core
student
memories.
Back. It was like it was funny. So there was like 50 of us on a Zoom just making pizzas. So that, and then camp I think started that summer, like for real.
Because it was pushed to July instead of
Yes.
June, so it would be a little
That was
further.
mission camp with like our temperatures were taken and we walked in the door. So that was like the first like real camp that I feel like
A big
really
one.
happened. Like Brittany was there for the first time. That was the first year she came on. And I remember Hedgehog Hannah was in full force that year. We had, just
Did we
an
kayak that year?
I don't think we did kayak.
It's not
that year.
kayaking.
That was that was 4 weeks though. That was one of the longer
That was a
years
long
we did
year.
camp. Yeah.
That was long.
But
Yeah.
And hot.
Yes.
Right?
yeah. Then student impact was kind of off and on for me during 7th grade because we had the green and gold days. So I'm pretty sure, I don't know exactly what it was, but my days were not, I wasn't a student leader yet, so I wouldn't come on intermediate school days. So I'm pretty sure the middle school days were like,
Just not your day.
they were not my days. So I wasn't here like the first half of, what was it, 7th grade? So like 2020. But then my mom had brought me into one of her meetings at some point. I think you were having a meeting with Sam or something in January to talk about something. And I don't know, Sam had just been like, hey, do you want to come on intermediate school days? Because that was like Wednesday was the day that worked for me because I went to school on Monday, Wednesday. And I was like, sure. So then I came. I remember Mac was very excited to see me when I first.
He disappeared and we had been begging him to come back. He was just
That's so
avoiding all of our
funny.
texts.
And then I came back. So then I came on Wednesdays for the rest of that year. So that was 2021. And then I was more of a student leader at camp that year. That's when we did kayaking.
That was okay. That makes
That
sense.
was an interesting experience kayaking. We only did it twice and we bowled twice. But then I really became involved. So then going into 8th grade, I was here 3 or 4 times a week usually. And then just kind of went from there. I became a student leader in 8th grade and then came to what I am today, being here all the time.
Here every day.
Yep.
All the time. I remember when I first started becoming a student leader, were you in 6th grade?
I think I was in 6th
Yeah, because
grade.
I was in 8th grade. And you were like the little candy dealer. I don't know if you remember this, but
At that table.
Yeah.
I do remember
yeah,
that. Yes.
he sat with one of our volunteers in the cafeteria and he would take all the money.
Oh, yeah,
and he'd
the
be
money
like,
man.
"Here you go." Like, no, it's $2, not
Actually, it's $2, not
not a dollar.
Pay tax.
Or you'd sit on the stage with the mic.
Yep,
I had
I
a
love to direct the mics of the game because I didn't want to play.
no, but
Tough
you
to
needed a
play.
job.
Absolutely.
Right, so I sat on the stage and, I don't know what I said, like, go, what, 3, 2, 1, go, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I liked being in managerial roles, even as a little kid.
He has to be in charge.
He has to
Something.
be in charge. That's right.
Yeah.
What is something? Why did you decide to be part of the student leadership program? And then what has your experience with that looked like?
Yeah, it's actually been really interesting as it's evolved throughout the years. I feel like the role has become like a little bit changed throughout the years. I think at first I had seen different student leaders like when I was in 5th and 6th grade, some of which like a lot older now. I feel like some of them are even graduated from college at this point, right? Like someone I was in intermediate school.
Yeah.
So I just saw them as like a mentor and someone that I could look up to. And I think when I was in 7th grade, it was something I was like, I would like to be that for a 5th and 6th grader. So Sam kind of like took me under her belt. I don't know, is that the phrase? And I just like to be a mentor to other kids, like learn how to better support people, better interact with people, and just like foster those connections between people. And I think that's like one of the best things about the program is allowing people to like learn and then use those skills to like benefit students.
Yeah. What's your favorite part of being a student leader now?
My favorite part about being a student leader, I think now, some like being a junior in high school, I think is like seeing all of the students that we have had to like 5th and 6th grade and now 7th grade become student leaders.
Yeah,
Like that's something I
that's
think is really
fun.
fun to see, where it's like students that I remember like kind of being a leader to in like 5th grade, seeing them become a leader in like 8th grade is really something that's like, I think that's my favorite part.
Like
That's really fun to see.
Emmy's
Yeah.
a student
Uh-huh.
leader this year, and we've known her since she
Right.
was
That's
itty
like my
bitty.
favorite thing to see for sure.
That's a good one.
Mhm.
That's fun. We haven't ever gotten the chance to talk to a parent on the podcast. So as a
Wow,
parent,
lucky me.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. First one who's made it.
Yeah.
What's your perspective of being able to watch John go through student impact, and like what impacts have you seen through that, and what have you seen student impact do in his life?
Gosh, student impact has done so much for John. When he came here, I will back up. When I first sat on the board, I learned really quickly that student impact was a safe place for all kids, and everybody fits in here. So that's what I loved about it, and that's why I wanted to be involved. And I saw John throughout his career here at Student Impact really have another family. I mean, you guys have been an extension of his family, which has been so meaningful in so many ways to our family, because as a parent, we all know that it takes a village, right? And to have other good experiences and people in your life to help guide you is so important, I think. So that's exactly what he has. He's gained a second family. He's learned a lot about leadership and love and acceptance and growth. And I think, having him looking into the future, going to college, I think being a part of Student Impact is going to be a life skill that's going to be, is essential for him and throughout the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As a college professor, do you think like there's any skills that Student Impact gives you that are like, oh, that kid needs to get that in high school because then they go to college and they're more ready for it? Or what have
Right.
you experienced as a college professor?
Right.
Professor?
Well, I think what I've seen in John is he's gained a lot of confidence being here and having these family members, this extended family. It gives him a lot of confidence. I see as a professor, I see a lot of students who lack that confidence. I think it's because they haven't had that nudge and that push. Like doing something like this would be very intimidating for some of
Yeah.
my students. And the fact that John's already been on this podcast a couple of times and very familiar with it, you get confident, right? In your experiences. And I think that confidence is a huge thing that students are lacking these days, and being a part of Student Impact has definitely helped you, and I think could help students, all the
Yeah.
the newcomers that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know for personal experience, like a majority of my confidence came from being here because when you walk in as a new student, you just feel at place and at home and like you're
Absolutely.
known there and you matter there.
Yep.
And like at school, with our schools being so big, it's hard to have that presence unless you're
Absolutely.
involved in a
Right.
ton of things or
Absolutely.
the athlete. And
And
so
unfortunately, that's not the majority of
exactly.
students. So,
yeah. And for
yes.
those students who are that way, that's awesome and they
Right.
get so much support. But those background kids who don't get that, coming here is so beneficial for them. and
Absolutely.
every kid needs to feel known and loved.
Absolutely.
And needs to know that they're going to walk in somewhere and their
Right.
first name's going to be known.
Absolutely.
It's
yeah.
really cool being part
Yeah.
of that.
Another thing is I feel like sometimes you always don't want to come to your parents for things. Like there's just to know that there's people here that like are always willing to talk to you. Like sometimes, it's one thing if my mom will tell me something that I need to do, but it's like if I hear it from Brittany, I'm like, okay, like she actually like having other mentors in your life that aren't your parents. Sometimes it's good to hear things from a second perspective and just knowing that someone's there that you can always talk to, because sometimes like you don't want to tell your parents sometimes about stupid drama and you just
sure.
need someone to talk to the wall to. So like having someone that you can always talk to and they're going to give you like good feedback is just something that's really important that Student Impact gives students, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And from a parent's perspective, I mean, I can't say enough about the team here at Student Impact over the years has just been so influential in not only my life, but so many people in Westfield. And, Brittany, just for example, John had his birthday a couple weeks ago a week and a half ago, or whatever. He turned 17 and he made plans to go out. He said, I'm going out to breakfast with the Student Impact people. And I was like, okay, great. So after the breakfast was over, I said, so who was all there? And he said, oh, it's just Brittany. It's just me and Brittany.
Brittany and I.
And I just thought, how amazing is that the executive director of Student Impact, who has a family of her own, would take the time to have a one-on-one breakfast with John on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time
Definitely.
away from her family. And that just is a true testament that what happens here every single day.
Yeah.
Right.
And so Brittany is amazing. And I just want to mention that because kudos to her. And the same with Danielle. Danielle was the same way when she was here. I think Brittany and Danielle and you and the rest of your team are just so, you make these kids your priority, and they really feel loved. And I think that's so beneficial.
Yeah.
Priceless, actually.
And it's like we go into it wanting to love, and even the student leaders do it. Like we want to love those kids well, but they're also loving us just as well, and like filling our cups every single day. Like when Annie gets excited to see you, I'm like,
I used to get to go walk to the intermediate school when I was interning here for 5th period. I get to go walk, and I would carry Annie's backpack. Yeah, it's fun to like see kids be excited to see you.
Yeah,
just like fills your cup just as much as we fill theirs.
Well, that's how when you just looked up to the student impact people. I mean, you were just like, I just want to be a student leader so badly. I mean, once you got here and got involved, that was your goal. You wanted to be a student leader. So, yeah.
And it's like once you're involved here, we probably never would have gotten the relationship we have now without student impact, and that relationship's never going to cut off. And so like all those connections you make through student impact, they go on forever.
You're lifelong friends and family.
Yeah,
which
we'll
is
be at each other's weddings. We'll be meeting up from different wherever we are in the world.
Absolutely.
And so that's really cool to have.
It's very cool.
The connections are always in your back pocket for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But with what you said earlier, being a junior and how we're always going to be together and connected, what are your plans? You only got 2 years left, or a year and a half, kind of.
I mean, we're already through first trimester. Yeah. So you're talking about like my future plans?
Yeah, what are you thinking? What are your goals?
I thought about a few things. So I went to visit NYU we're in November now, so that wasn't October. The campus is really cool, so I thought about going to NYU, but it is really far, and it's just like an interesting campus. But obviously my mom teaches at Butler, so I always thought about going to Butler. It's a nice little campus, but IU is also great, like IU and Purdue. So probably I feel like I'll end up staying around here. Yeah. Butler's probably like my top option right now, and I thought about different things. I wanted to go to med school for a little bit, but also that's very daunting and a long years of school. So I've always wanted to do something in like dermatology. I thought that's been really cool. So right now I'm thinking of going to PA school to be a PA in dermatology. So it's only 6 years instead of like 12.
A little better.
So so that's what I'm thinking right now. But we'll see. We'll see how my opinion I mean, I'm applying to colleges in about a year, so anything could change before then.
What are you feeling about that, Carrie?
It's like a blink of an eye. I mean, he was a baby. Seemed like yesterday. But no, I'm looking. I am fully aware of John's medical aspirations, and I love it. And I will be very sad when he leaves the nest for
Empty
sure.
Nester.
I can't even believe it, empty nester. But also, I'm very proud of him, and I know he's going to do great. So. He needs to go spread his wings, and I vote for Butler so he could come home for dinner once in a while. But that's going to be up to him, so we'll let him choose whatever school.
Bring me some food when you have Monday, Wednesday class.
That's right.
Lunch together.
Go to lunch, free lunch, right? This is the kind of things you think about when you're going to college. Free lunch.
You'll be good.
That's right.
Go to Patachu, maybe.
Yeah.
That's the first choice.
So these are the true aspirations coming out. Right.
Exactly.
Can you come give us free facials as staff once?
Sure.
All the fun dermatology things.
You should get that in writing.
Get rid of our moles.
Right. Better have that in writing now. I'll come with like my Botox.
Yeah. We'll be ready for it.
Bring a little cooler.
While we're working. Just go
at
us.
Free Botox.
Coming out of your lunch. Like 15 minutes. Of course. That'll be my number one priority.
Okay, well, I'll be looking forward to it.
For free, of course.
Well, thank you guys for being on the podcast.
Oh, this is great.
It was so fun.
We appreciate both of you, and I'm so thankful to know you guys. And
we are very thankful for you too.
Student impact.
And I just want to point out really quickly, if we can, before we leave, you guys just both have talked about this whole time about so many of the experiences you have. With student impact, like you talked about the kayaking and the animals and the camps and the after school activities, all the pancakes, all the things that you do. It's just, you guys need to be recognized. So you guys do great work. I'm so happy that you guys are in Westfield and helping shape the lives of so many kids. So kudos.
All the memories that we have over the years, like we could go on just talking
oh my
about
gosh.
memories.
We better cut off.
We could have like 4 episodes ready for us to rant.
Yeah.
7 years that I feel like I don't even know at this point, but the amount of like funny moments we have it's just.
And we'll be able to talk about them forever.
Right. They'll never go away.
A Snapchat memory will pop up in 10 years and we'll be like, John, remember this.
That would be like 3 weeks ago. So yeah, we have memories to last years.
You're
and
blessed.
years and years.
You guys are blessed. Yes.
Well, thank you guys.
Thanks, Mac.
It's time to toast.
Time to toast.
Yeah.
We toast too.
Okay. How about to family?
Family? Okay.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Student impact.
Student impact family.
Okay, to Student Impact Family.
Okay.
Cheers.
Student impact family. Cheers, cheers,
All right,
cheers.
cheers.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.